At our conventions, there are normally three things we have to do. And sometimes people don't understand why we do these three things. Understand that most of our procedure comes out of what happened at the Continental Congress when our founding fathers first got together. They came from 13 different colonies with 13 different sets of rules. Many of them did not know each other. Some of them had written letters to each other, but they had never met each other. And so they came to the meeting, and they had to have something from their states saying that this person, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, has the right to negotiate on behalf of Pennsylvania or Virginia. In other words, they came with credentials, a letter signed by the governor or the person in charge of the state. When we come to our conventions, AARP convention, fraternity sorority conventions, the first thing that must happen is that there must be a credentials report in which you certify who the delegates are. You can make no decisions until you know who the people are who can make decisions. And so you have the certification of delegates, which is called the credentials report. And when I was executive director of Phi Beta Sigma, that was a very, very important report. And I would stand before the body and read off each chapter's name and how many votes they had, and identify the person who had the right to cast votes and have that chapter. Now, once that was done, then the second thing had to be done. You've got to decide the rules. Remember, 13 different states, 13 different rules. So they have to decide on a common set of rules for the Continental Convention. Likewise, when you go to your conventions, the second thing that must be done, you must decide on a set of rules. Now, very often, the officers will print in the program the rules that they want to adopt. Be very wary, because as much stuff as they can slip through on you, they will. Those rules might be written in their favor, might not be written in your favor. You do not have to accept the rules specified in the conference program. Those are just suggestions. You can make a motion to reject every last one of them and write new rules from the floor. Or you can stand up and add to the rules to give a rule that you want to bring forward. Credentials first, then rules. Credential tells you who has the right to vote. Rules tell you the procedure by which you will vote. And then and only then can you adopt the agenda for the conference. And once again, the fact that the officers have printed a 17-page program called the agenda don't mean a thing. Until the body accepts it, it's not official. The body rules. And that leads me to one other thing. I was not going to cover this.
You said that the credentials came first. What was the other?
Rules. Credentials, rules, agenda, in that order. Those are the first three things must be done at any convention. Often in organizations, members feel powerless. As members, you have power if you know it. There's a phrase I learned a long time ago. Repeat it after me, please. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. One more time. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Now all together. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In many of our organizations, we are led by folk with one eye, and we sit there blind. But if you learn the rules, and they're not that difficult, you can protect yourself. I was in a meeting where the body did not know they had the final say. The chair made a proclamation. So and so and so will happen. Such and such will not happen. I got up, went to the microphone and said, Mr. Chairman, where's that written in the Constitution? Oh, it's not the Constitution, it's a rule we have. Oh, okay. In that case, I move that we discount that rule. You're out of order. Mr. Chairman, I appeal the ruling of the chair. That had not been done in 20 years. The person in the chair had no idea under God's son what that meant. He looked at the parliamentarian, whose legal counsel was a lawyer. Legal counsel looked at me. He knew I knew what I was doing. He knew he did not. He threw his hands up. The only other person in the room who was familiar with that motion was one of my chapter members, because we had planned to do that. And my chapter member had to explain to the presiding officer and the body what the rule meant. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Normally what should happen is the chair should say, there's been an appeal to the ruling of the chair. Shall the ruling of the chair be upheld? That would be a yes vote. Those not in favor, that'd be a nay vote. Most folks, when they don't know what they're doing, prefer to say yay rather than nay. My chapter member explained the rule backwards. He said a yay vote be for me. A nay vote be for the presiding officer. The brothers voted yay. From that time on, every time I went to the microphone, whatever I suggested, they passed it.
But that's kind of sad.
That is sad.
Because the presiding officer should, first of all, should not be the only one who knows parliamentary procedure. There should be other, the membership should know it, so that there's a check and balance where everybody understands what's going on, and then no one tries to pull the wool over anybody else's eye. But for the most part, people don't want to embrace parliamentary procedure because they think it's too complicated.
And it's not complicated at all.
It's not.
It's not at all.
It's just a matter of making sure that things run smoothly.
And that you protect yourself.
And that you protect yourself. But, you know, people now see, well, I can use this to do this, that, and the other, or to throw a monkey wrench in the whole proceeding, and that's what happens. And then, you know, we're...
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. But each of us has two good eyes. So what we have to do, you know, the book may be an inch thick, but it's page after page. And after you read a little bit, it starts making real good sense. And then you're protected. And your rights cannot be violated. And you don't have to feel helpless and powerless.